あるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker. I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking. The raw rapper, spine snapper with the little, cause all my lap a shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her. Ask the if I didn't choke her, if she try to front.
This is like when Pam like pump fakes Michael Scott on the phone because he does better the second time. This is how it feels. Episode 114 of that World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, and with me, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? It's Mike.
Today's topic, favorite cups of coffee. Barista Al and Barista Mike talk about their favorite wrestler short stints. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes. Leave a review. We're 4 away from 100. I'm not sure if that really matters in the long scheme of things, but I just want to see triple digits. I don't know. Hit us on Discord. And if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. We got some emails and a Discord question, I think, Mike. You mind starting off with that first one?
Sure. The first one is from Joe. It's, I email the show. It says, hey, virtual boys. Hope I'm not too early with this email, but if I don't send it today, I may forget to send it. And we missed last week, so it's been a long time coming for this email. One day my schedule will line up to watch Pain Pigs live, but I do download them all and watch them at my leisure. I'll never go in the Discord as that's not for the olds, so I will lose out on the full Pain Pigs experience. Also, I knew Razor Ramon was a white man since he was just the diamond stud with gold chains, but I didn't know Johnny B. Bad wasn't black until Cactus Jack mentioned it in a promo in 1995. Also, ECW and Paul Heyman tricked me that Public Enemy were actually good. In high school, I would debate with folks how much better they were than teams like Harlem Heat or the Smoking Guns, so we all have our blind spots. Talking about the future of food ordering and sketchy touchscreens and whatnot, a community stylist wouldn't work, but what if we brought our own or had a dialing wand? Love, Joe, a.k.a. Stop Running Live Wrestling, a.k.a. Stop Going to Live Wrestling, a.k.a. Please Stay Home, a.k.a. at least until mid-August when LVAC and Mantis run their first show of the year. AKA Hope. Let me see. There's so much to address here. First, we don't show the Pain Pigs in the Discord. It's in the Twitch. And, I'm hoping that was a mistake because I got some insider industry scoops that Joe actually uses. I think it's the Pod Van Dam or the AIW Discord. So, I'm on to you, Joe. I know that you use Discord, so I got moles all over the place. So, but no, we show it on Twitch, which is Twitch is kind of difficult for old, so I understand because it's like it streams, but it's not exactly a convenient way of streaming something, or as a convenient way of casting something to your television. So I get it. It's fine. It's a lot more fun watching it live. That's for sure, though. Also about Public Enemy, like that's one I never fell for. There was never a time in my life that I thought Public Enemy was good. I thought they're cool because they use weapons, but I definitely knew they weren't good. And as far as the dialing wand, I actually got a season ticket, gift box from the Chicago Fire, even though there's no real season, but I guess they're just like, hey, sorry about that. Here's a bunch of cheap shit. And one of the things in there was kind of like a dialing wand. So maybe Joe's onto something. Maybe this is going to be the new normal is people are going to have dialing wands.
I absolutely fell for Public Enemy being good when I was a teenager, for sure. Kind of thought of them as like this new age nasty boys. They were doing all the high flying, all the tables and shit. They had hockey jerseys. They looked pretty sweet. And in retrospect, I was wrong. So I'm with you, Joe. Speaking of dialing wands, so I've been at the post office a lot these days. And after hours, they have a kiosk there. And they have these Q-tips that you're supposed to use for the ATM touchpad or whatever. And I think that's horrific, dude. I just think because the Q-tips are meant for your ears. Like, and I know, like, you know, we want to be very conscious about touching surfaces, but, you know, miss me with fucking touching Q-tips on a public level. There's no fucking way, man. It's horrifying. That's like my saw trap, I think. I don't care if they're clean or not. Like, in theory, it's just gross. Next email is from Daniel, titled Befuddled, plus a mixtape request. Hey, hope you two are keeping safe and occupied. I'd like you to know I watched Pain Pigs 1 with my friends over Zoom, and the deathmatch tag prompted an intervention on my behalf. Apparently, some people really don't like death matches at all. So I've slept on it, but I don't know. Oh, fireworks time. All right, cool. Evil as A Bullet Club member, and B, double champion stinks to high heaven. I've liked Evil in the past, but this feels so weak. Has there been any moments in the past where your favorite promotion took a weird turn that made you realize, oh no, this is going to be an unholy mess? Imagining there's some great ECW, FMW examples here. Al, I'm watching Noah Destiny 2005, and I can see all the beer vendors walking around with cool, almost cross-color coordinated outfits on. Is that still a thing at a Tokyo Dome? Also, finally, Pusha T going at Drake again reminded me to finally send the Clips wrestling commentary clip for the mixtape. Please consider in this moment of darkness. Thanks. Take it easy. And I just learned Great Togo had a hardcore match with Marufuji in 2005, and nothing makes sense anymore. Dan. Dude, what's your take on double titles? Because I think, like, it's cool in the moment, but, like, it's always an awkward, like, transition out of, like, getting one of the titles off the guy. I don't know. The visual is always cool, but, like, afterwards, like, it's always pretty hokey. Is it stupid or what?
Yeah, I think unless you're planning on never separating them, like the Triple Crown Championship or something like that, which,
yeah,
I mean, it's not a bad idea to never separate them, but otherwise, yeah, maybe have like one defense because it's cool, but then after that, maybe just give the other one up for a tournament or something.
I could see, like, in UFC it making sense because you have to, like, fight two different sets of groups and, like, two different weights, but, like, in wrestling, it's always pretty dumb. Has there been any moments in the past where it took a weird turn because of a title change? Yeah, dude, when fucking Big Show won the ECW title, man, I was promised an authentic experience, and goddamn Paul White is the ECW champion with Paulie Dangerously as his manager. This shit was trash. With regards to beer vendors, yeah, that's still a thing. It was pretty sweet. I didn't get any this year at the Tokyo Dome, but, like, it's always a treat when people are walking up and down the stairs and asking if you want a beer for a little under $5. Anything you can add on to, Mike?
Yeah, sorry. I was messing with the volume. I would like to know, because he doesn't say, and there's one every week, I would like to know which Pain Pigs this was, Dan and Daniel, and what exact death match it was, because there's a lot of death matches, but yeah, I guess I could understand. I don't know how normie your friends are.
The first one, Pain Pigs 1.
Oh, I missed the one. Oh, okay, yeah, that one's pretty bad, so yeah, I get it. Keep watching, though. Keep watching. They're just, usually at the end there's a death. Not all the time, but at the end is where the death matches get stuck. So if you start seeing light tubes, maybe fast forward. But I'm glad people are watching it on Zoom. That's pretty cool. As far as when things, I think, when ECW started going down in the dumps, like they just kept getting worse and worse. I think it ended with Rhino having 2 belts or something like that. And I mean, it was the end anyway, so it was like, whatever. But the whole ending of ECW was really bad. And I mean, honestly, as soon as they got on TNN, it was just like every week it got worse and worse. So, outside of that, I can't think of any other times where I was just like, oh man, this is not good. So that's definitely the main one for me.
Hey, Dan, how much would it cost in pounds for Mike and Al to join your Zoom party, and for you to show the hair match, to your friends? Because I'd like to know. Let me know.
I don't think he's gotten there yet because he's on number 1, and the hair match is like I don't even know. That's like 7 or 8 or something. So yeah, let us know. I know you're on England time, so probably have to do it at like 3 a.m. Oh no, wait, we're after them, so probably be early, like noon or something. Next email is from Jesse. It's games. What's up, Vertbags? First off, I just want to say fuck my boy Adam for airing me out like that on your tweet about food. That shit was cold. Fuck him. He's carved out of pure jabronium anyways. I was re-listening to the episode about video games the other day, and that list really pissed me off. That geek at IGN needs a slap. However, it did get me thinking about a bunch of games that weren't on the list, and I was curious what your opinions on them would be if you had a chance to play them. Mainly the New Japan Shin Nihon games for N64 and Dreamcast, as well as All Japan featuring Virtual Fighter for the Sega Saturn, and lastly, a personal favorite of mine, Giant Graham 2000 for the Dreamcast. Excited to hear your thoughts. Thanks for always doing the damn thing like nobody else. Jesse, a.k.a. DJ Chicken Fingers, a.k.a. DJ Dr. Def, a.k.a. Cash Money Sakuraba. For those who don't know, the tweet he was referring to is I posed the question on Twitter, what annoys you more? People who have kind of a wrestling fan's diet of just eating chicken nuggets and other kind of, child-related foods, or the people who act like they've never had a pizza roll and like a Hot Pocket in their lives, and they just act like it's a foreign object that they've never come across before because they're like too rich or something and they just never had that experience. And it was actually, I figure the chicken nugget thing would run away with it, but it was pretty split across the board. I think overall more people said they were annoyed by the chicken nugget diet, but it was a close battle. A lot more people saying pretending you don't know what a Hot Pocket is just as infuriating. As far as these games, I have never played any of these games that you mentioned. The closest I can say is I played the All Japan game for the first PlayStation, which I imagine is somewhat like Giant Graham 2000. I like that one. I like that All Japan game for the first PlayStation. But outside of that, I didn't even know there was a New Japan game for N64. So I don't know anything about that. All Japan featuring Virtual Fighter. Yeah, I've definitely never played that or knew what that was a thing. So I guess that was what that apron was for. But yeah, I don't think I've ever actually played anything on the Sega Saturn. Like not even an emulator, nothing. I've never played 1 second of the Sega Saturn, so it's a pretty big blind spot for me.
Yeah, I mean, the only Saturn wrestling game I played was Fire Pro. Never played Giant Graham, and I always passed on the New Japan 64 games because I don't think anyone ever came to bat for them at all. They were just like, no, these suck. Just play Virtual Pro. And that's what I did. I always thought about copying just because the art is so cool. It's done by Sakai, so maybe for completionist sake, I want that copy, and it's pretty cheap. But no, I haven't played it. Maybe
were those games based on anything? Do you know, or they come to America in any form?
They didn't. Speaking of which, dude, did you play the Natsume Championship Wrestling that dropped on the Virtual Console?
No, I used to own it like back in the day before I even knew it was like had something to do with New Japan. I just owned it because it was a wrestling game, and I just remember it being very, very hard and not playing it too much because it was extremely hard.
I was going to ask, like, when you were a kid, did you just get your ass whipped for like 10 seconds and just turn it off? Because I can't find anything about being good at that game at all. I put it on easy even, and that's a disgrace for me. And I was still getting fucking washed. Like, I don't know how to control that game at all.
It's like,
so much so that like, I just kind of quit. I want to enjoy it, but I mean, it's pretty tough.
It's like, did you ever play that Rings game for Super Famicom?
No, I didn't. Is it good?
Graphically, it's amazing, but yeah, it's just like, it's impossible. Like, it's an impossibly, even if you know what you're doing, it's just like an impossibly hard game. I don't know. I know there's camps of people that are like, oh, games are too easy now. Everything's a tutorial, but I don't know, man. I think those people are just young and didn't have to sit through maybe spending $50 on a game or renting a game for a weekend and it being immediately too hard within 2 minutes of playing it. Cause it's a real bummer. So I don't know how fucking anybody dealt with those games back then. Oh yeah, we have the Discord question. This is from Stoned Pitbull. Hey pros, we have now seen the Grandmaster Watto, the Grandmaster Master Watto. And when I think about it, I can't think of one wrestler who had master in their name who wasn't a complete bum. Even Stone Cold Steve Austin was a bum as the ringmaster. So my question is this. What is a word or nickname in pro wrestling that you automatically associate with bums or even makes you assume the wrestler is a bum without even seeing them? CJ, aka Stone Pitbull, aka fuck all cops. It's one that I think I liked when I was a kid, but now I think it always is just like assume you're corny. It's anything that has to do with jumping or flying or anything like that. Anything that shows like agility, you're probably corny because like all the best agility wrestlers don't need to show it off. I don't think they just do it. So if you're like jumping somebody or flying somebody or some like, word that's the same kind of deal, I'm not going to be, you're going to have to prove it to me.
Yo, Jim Grabowski is fucking pissed off right now at you, Mike.
Well, it's okay for him to have it because he's old. Like I said, when I was a kid, it was fine when you were jumping something, but now it's just kind of like these young whippersnappers. They don't need to have those types of nicknames. So it's okay for Jim because he's been around the block for a little while.
Did Jumpin' Joey Maggs do anything cool aerially? Do you recall this at all?
No, I don't think so.
See, you might be onto something.
Yeah.
Names wise, I can't really think of anything off top, but I think this still holds true that if you have the singlet with the shorts with the U on the back and that one strap, you're automatically a bozo. It's just like you're giving up on being cool at wrestling. Anyway, if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. I got 3 topics for a 2-man scramble. We'll see how they do. They're kind of new concepts. First one's not. I just had a question for you. So Comic-Con started today virtually, and Mattel, they showed off some new figures after 2 or 3 years. Io Shirai, she is finally getting a figure, and it looks great. And I know that you're into a knick-knack or two, Mike. So has there been anything so far from a Comic-Con that has tempted you into reaching for your wallet?
Wrestling wise?
Anything.
I mean, years ago, I fucking did the whole wake up early and get all my computers ready and all that shit for the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive of the NECA NES Jason that came out. And I got it, but outside of that, there was like a couple Twilight Zone things, like again several years ago, but they were like a little out of my price range, and I was like kind of like fuck. But outside of that, trying to think of anything in recent days. I don't really think so. I think those are the only 2 things that I really just jumped up to get immediately.
Yeah, I bought 2 Io Shirais today because that's just where I am these days in life. I think NECA's making a figure of that like really creepy reporter from Ninja Turtles.
April O'Neil?
Talked into that. No, there's the guy, right? Wasn't he like
reporter? Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's like such a creep, but it's a cool looking figure.
I saw
if the price point's right.
Yeah, I saw those He-Man WWE dolls, and I can't believe they're still doing those. And they're even doing the corny gimmick ones where it's it wasn't corny when it was for He-Man, but they're doing they had the battle chest one where you would hit the chest and the chest would get more fucked up. And they have it for Roddy Piper, who's wearing a t-shirt, which is I guess maybe every time you hit it, the t-shirt gets more ripped, but I don't know, kind of corny. And late in the run of He-Man, they had that, I forgot the name of it, but they had that Skeletor that had a dragon stapled onto his back or glued onto his back that would spray water. And they have that for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And I just feel like they must have just had that mold and they were like, who would this make sense for? Because it's why are you making a doll of Ricky the Dragon? It's so random. I guess they're doing good if they're making new versions of them though, because I just assume those would fucking eat shit because they're kind of dumb, but But yeah, I also saw that Bailey with the inflatable tube man, and I think that's pretty cool. I'm never going to buy any of the stuff, but you know.
My second one. So, I mean, we moved Virtual Pros up a day so that all the Vert bags and us, we could watch AEW and NXT uninterrupted. But we don't really talk about those two shows. So maybe this is my attempt at a new segment. I kind of stole this idea from friend of the show, Emily Pratt. It's called the Best and Worst of the Wednesday Night Wars. For me, I think the best thing that happened yesterday, obviously Eddie Kingston and some thumbtack play. I know it was teased that Warhorse was going to challenge Cody, and I've never seen Warhorse wrestle in my life. So if he came out and he wrestled, I probably just would have went on my phone and did anything else with my day. But Eddie Kingston came out, and he called Cody an egg-sucking bitch, which is sweet as hell to me. And, match-wise, I thought it was really good. I don't know about comparing that match to an All Japan match, but this might be my third or fourth time enjoying watching Cody wrestle, so that's something for sure. The worst thing that happened yesterday was Finn Balor talking like a Redditor. That was the worst. This guy, he used the words rub and push on yesterday's episode of NXT. And I'm a betting man, and I'm setting the line at minus 3,000 that he's going to use the word smark sooner rather than later. And I'll set the line at maybe minus 400 that he's going to make a Tokyo Dome joke about Dave Meltzer, like live on TV. I can't believe they made this guy a bum. I was a former member of the Balor Hive, and it's just defeating, honestly, to watch this guy just be a bozo. So if you could pick a best and worst for AEW, because I know you've kind of just resigned from watching NXT, and I don't blame you. That fucking show stinks. What would you do?
I think I'll start watching NXT again once, there's a crowd or something. Or, as I saw that Fox is doing with baseball, they're adding a virtual crowd to baseball games, which I'm sure is going to be completely unsettling. But maybe they'll do that with NXT. But yeah, I just can't handle NXT the way it is, at the moment. But, so maybe, if we could continue this segment, I'll watch a little more often. As far as best, I really like that tag match, the Young Bucks and Butcher and Blade. I thought that was a very good tag match. I'm not a super fan of either team. So that's how good it was. I thought it was, very, very good for a TV match. For worst, it's definitely the lady palette swap match of Evilise and Diamantia, or whatever her name is. They look very similar. I'm not sure why they did this match. It just seems like maybe have wrestlers wrestle people who don't look exactly like each other. Like when I know WWE does the thing where you can't even have the same name as somebody. So I feel like this match would never take place in WWE. Vince McMahon would blow a gasket, but also the match wasn't that good and kind of dragged down the show. But outside of that, no, I thought AEW was pretty good. It was one of the best episodes. And like, yes, Dave Meltzer said, that Eddie Kingston match was like All Japan in the 90s. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people criticize for Dave Meltzer for a lot he says, but calling that John Moxley, Kenny Omega match Big Japan ×5 and this 90s All Japan match, I don't know. I think he's kind of losing it or just getting too hyperbolic with AEW.
My last topic of the night for episode 114. So I recently hit on a lot of PWI almanacs, and I got my Grail 1997 issue. And they used to run a bit called What's In and What's Out on the very last page of the almanac. They stopped that in 2009, I think, which is kind of shitty. But, like, it's this thing that you'd see, like, in high school yearbooks because, like, it does give you a screenshot or a snapshot, rather, of what people's tastes were for that year. So I thought it might be fun to like look back at these choices in 1997 and see if they've changed 23 years later. There's some pretty obvious like ones that have stayed hot, such as Pillman's Guns being what's in and Smoking Guns being what's out. But I just thought I'd get your take. So the first one is what's in and the second one is what's out, obviously. And you can let me know whether or not you agree or they should be reversed. So what was hot in 1997 was a Saturday night dating. What was out was Saturday night wrestling. Is this still on point?
Yes. It's kind of a strange thing. I mean, the thing is, I think 97 was Shotgun Saturday Night, though. Or maybe it was still Saturday Night.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Shotgun Saturday Night was hot, though. So I don't know. I think in 97 that might have been wrong, but definitely in 2020 it is correct.
Yeah, I think by default there's no Saturday night wrestling at all. So I mean, just
I mean, there's stuff on like Fight TV and stuff like that, but like indie shows. But,
that's true.
But yeah, I think dates are a little better.
I'd rather hold hands than watch wrestling. I think AOL, America Online, or LOD, Legion of Doom. Which one's hot and which one's not in 2020?
Like I would imagine AOL is hot because it was the. Oh, in 2020, I'm gonna still go with AOL. I don't remember which one of the LOD is living, but I know he's a fucking shit brain. So, AOL is still hotter than LOD.
AOL has always been hot, dude. That iconography, the fucking running yellow man, just touches me in the feels, dude. Blue Meanie or Gold Dust? Who do you got?
Man, they had Blue Meanie as hot back then. I guess that makes sense.
They did.
I'm gonna go with Gold Dust because he still has a job, and yeah, I'm gonna go with Gold Dust on this one.
I don't know. This one's a wash. I see Blue Meanie on Twitter, and he's just like, this typical Philly sports fan, and that always cracks me the fuck up. Gold Dust, yeah, I guess he had a very emotional match with his brother. I don't know. I'm on the fence. Have to admit. Sonny or Missy Hyatt?
I'm gonna stick with a 1997 opinion with Sonny, even though they're both kind of, I mean, Sonny's a horrible person, but I think Missy Hyatt might be a horrible person too. She just hides it. So I know one of the many pictures she posts of herself, she's wearing a Trump shirt and no remorse. Like, I mean, they're both Trump supporters, so I'm gonna. Actually, I think maybe I like Missy Hyatt. This one's a wash for me. I can't think of. Sonny's more outwardly horrible, but Missy Hyatt's like hiding it in there. So, and she's a Civil War reenactor, which is, you might as well just say you're racist at that point. Like, who else is doing that except for racists? So, I don't know. This is a wash. They're both not for me.
Do reenactors reinterpret? Do they have the South winning at the end or no? What do you think?
I have no idea how that shit works. I assume if you do it so much, you have to switch it up. You can't just do the same shit over and over again. That must get boring.
I don't know who I have either, man. I was leaning towards Missy because Sonny's such a piece of shit, like in 2020. But I mean, that OnlyFans is popping.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
What the fuck?
Diamond Cutter versus Frankensteiner.
No fucking way. I mean, Frankensteiner has always been cooler than the Diamond Cutter. Why didn't they just? I guess the Stunner wasn't really the like. That's a pinnacle yet, but yeah, Frankensteiner always hotter than a Diamond Cutter.
1000%, dude. There's so many variations. I cannot believe that. I mean, I guess in 97 I could sort of see it, but always go with the classics. The last one, Pro Wrestling or Ultimate Fights.
Oh man, yeah, 97 was was like the peak. I'm gonna have to go with Pro Wrestling now, though. I don't like the UFC anymore, so I'm gonna go Pro Wrestling.
You're crazy, dude. Fucking UFC has a show on Saturday with 15 fights. That's like 900 hours of fighting. All the gambling you can imagine. I'm so fucking pumped, dude. I'm gonna go Ultimate Fighting. That was my last one.
Okay. I thought of one while we were doing this, so we'll make these quick. Now I have 100 of them. First one, catching up on No People Sports, No Fan Sports, these pandemic sports. I've been doing a little update. All these sports I've been watching since this shit started. MLS is back. That's back. That's the American Soccer League. for those many of you who don't know what MLS is, which is probably a lot. It translates pretty well. It's weird, they had to go. They're doing the same thing the NBA did. They kind of rushed into it. The NBA are doing a bubble where they actually had to be down there for a few weeks. MLS, they just said they were in a bubble and started immediately playing like 5 days later. That's not how a bubble works. 2 teams had to drop out for, having the COVID. But it worked out because it worked out to a better amount of teams to play this kind of knockout tournament they're doing. But outside of that, it translates well. Some broadcasts have the canned crowd, some don't, but it's good. It's you can watch soccer without a crowd. So I think give an A+ to MLS. I watched the first televised NBA scrimmage game yesterday, at least some of it, Kings and Heat. And I don't know how I feel. I got to watch a few more games. It's incomplete right now, but it looked very unsettling to me, some of the camera angles they were doing for the NBA without a crowd. Also, for most of the game, there was no music, so they're just like, they're not playing in total silence, but close to silent, and like there's the only crowd there are like I think like personnel. Like I don't think it's other people. Like I don't think it's other basketball players from other teams. Well, this is a scrimmage too, so it could be completely different when they start broadcasting it. But either way, there's only personnel, so it kind of just looks like this. I don't know, like this fucking apocalyptic like future thing where there's just like 20 people sitting on the sideline, and otherwise they're surrounded by screens in this very well lit basketball court with like no other space. It's just it's a very weird vibe that super not into. But again, like I said, it's just scrimmage, so hopefully when they start broadcasting the real games, it'll be a little different and they'll have like some crowds there or something. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about the no fan basketball. Did you catch that game though, Al?
Yeah, unfortunately, dude, it's going to be a long 8 games for the Sacramento Kings. Let me fucking tell you, man. Not really looking forward to it at all. And baseball started today, and that starting lineup for the Giants is looking pretty rough, dude. So, sports may have, restarted, but not for me. That's why I'm talking about wrestling with my friend Mike right now and not watching baseball because it just bums me out.
I hope that Denver Nuggets lineup, that starting lineup that was posted on the internet sticks.
Yes.
I will leave all of my basketball allegiances to become a Denver Nuggets fan overnight if they have Bol playing small forward, going forward. That's an amazing.
That and Jokic at fucking point guard, dude. Like that's how I would play like video game basketball if I was like playing my little brother, to give him a chance.
That's what I do when I play the triple threat on NBA 2K. I'm just like 2 big guys and 1 small guy, and just have the fucking 2 big guys crush the small guy. Next one, real quick. I actually talked some wrestling here. It's a few weeks old now, but we alluded to it. They had kind of a big development in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They let Evil beat Naito. I mean, first he won the New Japan Cup, which is, it's not like insane, but it was still a little of a surprise. And then they had him beat Naito for both of the belts. And now he's just a champion. Then he joined the Bullet Club out of nowhere. And it is kind of strange behavior. I think if we're under normal circumstances, this would be more alarming to me. But I think they probably had to change a lot around because there's people who can't get in the country. And I think a lot of people forget that New Japan is usually on like this year plan where they do all their storylines like mapped out for a year. And for some reason they can't change them. So when they have to call an audible, it might be weird. So I'm thinking maybe Jay White was supposed to win or something like that, or Kenta even, because I think Kenta's not there, I would assume. I think he's probably in America or something.
Yeah.
So maybe Kenta was supposed to win the belts, and that makes a little more sense. But so I'm not going to say this is all doomy and gloomy. I do think it's kind of weird. But what do you think, Al? Are you done with New Japan after this? Did you email them a angry letter like my girlfriend, or what happened?
Yeah, I talked to Harold in the Discord, and I said, "What are you doing, dude? New Japan is dead. Why did you make Evil the champion?" No, I didn't care, man. It's totally fine. Like, that's kind of Gato's thing, right? You gotta have someone from the Bullet Club win the title at some point. They did it with Jay White. That's just kind of his go-to. It's fine. Yeah, all things considered, like, they don't have Jay White in the country, or Kenta, or Will Ospreay even. Like, you gotta kind of book around it, I guess, if you want to get too nerdy about it. But yeah, I don't think it's doom and gloom on my end. Like, there's still like a lot of matches I'm looking forward to. Like, Hiromu's a certified heavyweight now. That's fucking crazy to me. And like all the matchups that come with that, I can get up for. So, when the title change happened, it didn't really affect me that much. It just means that someone has to chase the heel now, and that's fine.
Next topic. I just want to say that a couple weeks ago, for those who don't know, if maybe you're new or something, since this, pandemic for the past several weeks, I've been doing this thing on Twitch, on our Twitch channel at VRTL Pros called Pain Pigs every Monday at about 9 p.m. Eastern. It's just like a 2-hour mixtape of wrestling and other weird wrestling shit. It's not very serious. It's, kind of silly shit and stuff to laugh along and cheer along to. I just want to say a couple weeks ago, I aired an episode, and a couple weeks ago was the lowest episode of Raw of all time. I'm not going to say there's a coincidence, but I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. We start airing these Pain Pigs on our Twitch, and all of a sudden, Raw hits this unattainable number that Dave Meltzer was saying for years they would never hit again, and they hit it, and they passed it. And the last week, again, against Pain Pigs, second lowest rated Raw of all time. So I don't know. AEW is not the only company you have to worry about when it comes to the ratings. You gotta get your ass into that Twitch and watch the Pain Pigs because we're stomping Raw right now.
Kudos, man. You're the fucking real demo god, Mike. Like, how do you feel about that?
Feel great. I can't wait for the PWT to make a shirt for me. Demo god number 2 or El Hijo del Demo God. I'll take that too. But yeah. Very proud of that. Very proud of beating Raw and winning the ratings war on Monday nights. Lastly, second, this is kind of a two-parter. I've been slacking. I've been slacking this week, but I've been doing so much shit. But I've decided I'm gonna watch, since I have time, I'm gonna watch every single All Japan Women's Classics episode. Cause, I can't, that, like we talked about last episode with the Dump Matsumoto match and the one from Pain Pigs, it's really motivated me to check out this old ass wrestling. And so far it hasn't disappointed. It's all pretty good. I think the first couple episodes were, a little shaky because it was fucking 1983 or 84 and Jesus, it's almost 40 years ago. But outside of that, even the old shit, it holds up well, holds up a lot better than modern women's wrestling even. So, I just want to prepare everybody that, it's going to take a while. I'm not going to fucking binge watch them or anything, or Bing watch them as it's properly pronounced. But I within a few months, I think I'm going to be a Joshi Pro-Wrestling expert because I'm going to watch all of them. And you guys are going to be able to ask me any question about women's wrestling that you have because I'm going to know it all. This kind of leads in to something that Dave Meltzer kind of mentioned on his podcast. What was he talking about?
Elvis?
Yeah, it was the Elvis thing, but I can't remember what the catalyst was why he started talking about it. But either way, he alluded that that Elvis was really into women's wrestling and that he used to date women wrestlers. And for those of you who don't know what Elvis Presley is, he's a singer, and he died in 1980. I want to say. I think that's when he died. Maybe 77 even. Might have been 77.
On the toilet.
Yeah, he was on the toilet. So it was a little before, guys in America knew about Joshi Pro-Wrestling. So I would like to just create this alternate timeline where Elvis did not die on the toilet and he survived and he became Dave Meltzer's number one, informant for Japanese women's wrestling. And I just want to put this idea in people's heads because in a couple of years from now, your brain gets hazy, and you'll just be like, I heard on a podcast once that Elvis was really into Japanese women's wrestling, and he was telling Dave Meltzer about it. So if I just put these thoughts out, but I think it could really happen though. I think if he was really into women's wrestling, he survived. He could have been like the 75-year-old man calling Dave Meltzer. Well, I guess I wasn't even writing Dave Meltzer about Monami Toyota and people like that. And I think this is a real possibility that could have happened. And I don't know. There's fan fiction people out there. There's comic book people out there. Why don't you make this story? Just call me up. We'll collab on this. We could make a little comic zine about Joshi Pro-Wrestling expert Elvis Presley. I think it's a money idea.
Where do I even chime in here, Mike? Are you telling me that it's possible that Elvis Presley on tour, dresses up like Aja Kong, for one of the concerts? Because he's so motivated and inspired.
Like I said, I don't know. Maybe. I'm only a junior expert right now because I've only watched about 12 episodes. I don't even think I've watched 12, but I don't know when he stopped touring. There might have been women's wrestling the last time he toured Japan, and he might have been like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get in on that." It's just like I forgot her name. You know her name. But one of the first matches on the first episode is Mimi. Is it Mimi Haragawa or something like that? Am I saying that right? Am I making?
The woman that was photographed with Terry Funk.
Yeah.
We unearthed Mimi Hagiwara.
Yeah, okay. Mimi Hagiwara. She's on the first match. She's on like the first tape, and I was like, wow, she's like an old babe. Like, you know, you don't really think of women in the early 80s as babes just because they had like fucked up hair and stuff like that. Like, you know, it was like a weird look back then. Like, it was just like, I mean, personally, that's how I feel. Like, if I see people from like that time period, I'm just like, you know, they're human beings. I'm not like, ooh, yeah, look at that. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. So I was like, wow, she's actually like really beautiful. And I Googled her, of course, because that's what you do when you see a pretty lady. I don't know. Guys, we know, but you know, maybe ladies out there, they don't know that's what you do. And I was like, oh, well, actually, the real reason I Googled her was because in the second episode, she has a retirement match. And I'm like, that's weird. It's weird this lady, you know, just retired in 1983 or whatever. Let me look her up. And yeah, all that comes up is pictures of Terry Funk, like nuzzling with this lady. So he definitely smashed. And it just brought everything full circle because
I don't know, Mike. You walk that one back, maybe.
Dude, they're like embracing in these pictures. That's not like a friend hug. I would not hug my friend like he's hugging her. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it makes sense because Dave Meltzer always says, "Oh yeah, Terry Funk was the first person to tell me about Japanese women's wrestling, and I know why. Because Terry Funk was having sex with all of them, and it makes sense." And that could have been Elvis. That could, like I'm saying, Elvis could have been Dave Meltzer's Terry Funk. And, like I said, you zine people out there, let's work on this. Let's do a little collab.
Up next. Favorite cups of coffee. Barista Al and Barista Mike talk about their favorite wrestler short stints. Please stay tuned. Virtual Pros, episode 114. Today's topic, favorite cups of coffee. This is pretty topical because it's opening day for baseball, and to me, a cup of coffee is a baseball phrase that describes when someone has a short stint on a team. Maybe they were traded towards the end of the year for like a playoff race. I know Carlos Beltran was a Giant for a little bit, and that failed. So he's considered a cup of coffee. But I thought it'd be fun to talk about our favorite short stints in wrestling because they happen, and not usually, but when they happen sometimes, like magic happens. And so I just thought I'd talk to Mike about our favorite cups of coffee. Some notable mentions for me. I have 3 of them. Jushin Liger in NXT. That might be my, one of my favorite ones for sure. It was only one match against Tyler Breeze, but it definitely highlighted how weird and on fire NXT was in a moment of time. And when that announcement happened, it was like a fever dream. Like Liger is finally going to be in the WWE, and he's going to be at like a pay-per-view. And all things considered, like it was a pretty fun showing. You were there. Like,
yep.
How was the reaction?
I mean, it was a pretty great reaction, and definitely a pretty odd place to see Jushin Liger, I guess. I mean, I guess after that he did stuff in America, but I mean, at the time it was definitely pretty crazy.
Also, Aja Kong in WWF, as we previously brought up, just for the Chaparita Asari match on Raw, because that was the most brutal thing I ever saw as a kid, I think. And then Sid in ECW, just because he was beating the fuck out of everybody, and I liked it. But my first one is Kota Ibushi in WWE and NXT. I think I picked this one because, like, you know, this cup of coffee just led to so much weirdness and so many, like, really weird, like, tall tales, like, you know, him not knowing who Vince McMahon was backstage and just giving him a high five. That's pretty fucking funny to me in my head. And I remember, like, I was humoring the idea of going to LA and seeing NXT, because it was like the cool thing to do at that time. And sure enough, he, you know, just shows up unannounced on this show to wrestle Bobby fucking Roode for 20 minutes, which is like crazy to think about, like, years later. And then I think, like, in maybe, you know, 10 to 15 years, like, if the world exists at that point, I think people are going to look back at that Cruiserweight Classic tournament and they're going to appreciate it a lot more because, you know, I think on volume, like, it has to be like one of the highest producing, like, tournaments when it comes to, like, having good matches, good to great matches. And I don't think Kota bricked even once, even though there was that time where, like, he got counted out on accident because he thought they were on the 20 Japanese count, not the 10. But overall, like, that short stint, like, just produced so many weird, like, side stories about, you know, his time there. And, you know, it's one of my favorite cups of coffee.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think about that Cruiserweight tournament a lot. Not just because it was good, but yeah, just so weird that they invested all this time and money into both Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr. And they're both like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to want to do this because this is, we know the deal. And it's also strange because that was, you know, 3 or 4 years ago now. And they still, and everybody always makes fun of Kota Ibushi for kind of being like a ditzy guy, but him and Zack Sabre Jr. have been the only smart people in like the last 4 years to be like, I don't think we'll fit in the WWE because there's so many people like that where you're like, that guy's not going to fit in WWE, and he doesn't because he's not gonna. And it just made sense for them. But yeah, it's a pretty weird that they had that match in like the semifinals, or no, they wrestled other people in semifinals and then the 2 other people, and like Cedric Alexander won. And it's just like, oh wow, this is a real strange tournament.
TJP won the tournament, and I think that's why people like don't mention it because it had such a very unsatisfying ending.
Yeah.
Ibushi Alexander was like so fucking good, and then like him and Kendrick, I think Kendrick hit him with a burning hammer, and I thought he was dead. Like, it was just a crazy time for that guy.
Oh yeah, Cedric won it later, from fucking Enzo or something. Either way, and yeah, the whole thing's a mess now. The whole 205 Live, it's I don't even know if anybody watches it. It's just this thing that exists, I think. My cups of coffee are a little more, I guess not literal. They're like kind of in the grand scheme of things, because I think all of these people that I have had at least a few years, but they're just, they're not on anybody's radar anymore. They're just people who no one ever thinks about or cares about or really even cared about at the time. And, so I'll do it kind of chronologically. My first one is one that I liked as a kid, and, he kind of went nowhere and disappeared, and it's a wrestler by the name of Big Bully Busick. He was in WWF. His old gimmick was he looked like an old-timey bully. He had like the bowler's hat and the crazy mustache and the cigar chomping. And, but he was like a big kind of sketchy looking, like intimidating dude. And, at the time, I don't think I knew that he was supposed to look like an old-timey bully. I just thought he looked like a real bully because I didn't know what that meant to be from the 1920s. And he did the stump puller. I think that's what that move's called as his finishing move, which is a real weird submission that where you like kind of pull the guy's leg in front of him and like bend it. And that's fucking weird and cool. And it was just during the time of WWF when they had a lot of bad gimmicks. So it wasn't like he really stuck out. He was one of the more grounded bad gimmicks, honestly. I think that was the time of the Berserker and Skinner and Doink the Clown and all these fucking other bozos. And so, you know, I didn't have any dreams of Big Bully Busick winning the world title or anything, but I thought he'd be a guy that stuck around and had cool, like, matches where he was like a mean guy, but he was legit in WWF for like a year and then he disappeared. I did some research on all these people before the show, and his Wikipedia ends after WWF. It's just like he he left WWE, like he started in, I think, late 90 and left in like mid 91 or late 91. And, he like, that's the end of his Wikipedia. It just says he retired after that. And I'm sure he did other matches. I just don't know where. I don't know if he stuck with being a bully or what the deal was, but I don't know. That guy looked like a fucking intimidating dude, and it's kind of strange they couldn't do anything with him.
Why do I not remember this guy? I gotta
Harvey Whippleman was his manager. I found an actual cool match or two of his, and I might put on a later volume of Pain Pigs, because I think it fits the theme of Pain Pigs. So maybe you'll see Big Bully Busick in a couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, he's nobody's favorite except mine. He was like one of my favorites of that level of bad WWF gimmick guys, and I thought he was like the coolest one.
Hey, Mattel, if you're listening, maybe a figure can be produced.
Dude,
for this guy.
they had to have made one. They make a fucking figure of everything. They had to make a Big Bully Busick.
That's what I'm saying. My second one is Bam Bam Bigelow in ECW. So this year run from 97 to 98, I thought was pretty great, just because he legitimized a lot of people in such a short amount of time. And he gave us a lot of iconic moments. He threw Spike Dudley over a fucking guardrail from the ring, and then he had the crowd body surf him, which was nuts. And then he got put through a ring by current sports scientist Taz, which I know shocked a lot of people, but it's such a moment in ECW history. And I think you could even point to RVD being legitimized when he beat Bigelow for the TV title. So, just for bang for your buck in such a short amount of time, I kind of think this Bigelow run in ECW is pretty undefeated. Like he fit, seeing as he was a guy in the WWF for a while. But, yeah, just fit like a glove. It was pretty crazy.
I guess I never really think about it as a short time. What did he do after? Did he go back to WCW or something after that? I don't remember. Or did he die? Did he die?
Yeah, yeah, 98. He just passed away, then signed with WCW.
Okay. Yeah,
from the Undead, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, no, I guess I never thought about it being a short time. It feels like he was there for years, but yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite guys in ECW, so that's pretty cool. I agree with that one. My next one is a pretty weird one. It's gonna be over a lot of people's heads. But there was this one
fucking digging in the crates mic right now for this segment.
I think about this guy a lot, and actually thinking about him, I found some shit that I can't wait to look at during the week this week. But one of my favorite guys in Michinoku Pro was this white guy named the Magic Man. And he was he looked like a Hessian, like he looked like a metal dude, had long hair, like he looked like that long hair guy that's in the front row of all wrestling back in the day. But he was a wrestler. His name was the Magic Man, and he did magic tricks, and he had like this long running feud with Jinsei Shinzaki. And I mean, I think I don't think he ever won. Like he just got his ass beat every time. But I thought he was so funny, and this guy's whole existence was just in like doing sporadic tours in Michinoku Pro for 5 years between like 97 and 2001 or something, or 4 years. And that's it. Like, I think he did like some local wrestling. That's it. I read it because there's some stuff, because, I've been looking up Magic Man for several years on the internet. And there used to be nothing. Like now there's some interviews. There's like clips of video. But there's an interview that I read, and so basically he wrestled in some, I think, New England or tri-state area promotion, New England, I think. And for some reason, Great Sasuke was there for like a tour, and they went out to dinner afterwards, and he did some magic tricks at their dinner table, and Great Sasuke was like, "Hey, you should come wrestle for Michinoku Pro." Not wrestle, he's supposed to be a manager. And he showed up, and I guess Vampiro was supposed to be on this tour too, which is another whole thing I didn't even think of. I don't think it ever happened. I don't think Vampiro ever wrestled in Michinoku Pro, so that's super weird. But he didn't show up, so they're like, "Well, you got to be a wrestler now." So that's how he became a wrestler. Was that he's just this fucking dude who lucked out and was like doing magic tricks, being a manager for some fucking New England independent wrestling, and ended up in Michinoku Pro and having kind of a career there. No one remembers this. There's hardly any video on the internet. The DVDs he's on are like they're on that level where you have to get them from like Jeff Lynch. You can't just go to like some other guy or get them on torrents or anything like that. That's not happening. But luckily, through doing the research to see what the Magic Man was up to, he has his own real broke website for 2020. But he has his own website now, and all it is he has 2 versions of the same video, but it's like his matches from Japan, and you could buy them for like $5 or $6. And I'm going to do that this week, and I'm really pumped about it that he at least preserved his own matches. So it's like there's a PG rated one and an R rated one. And I think the only difference is the R rated one has a few extra matches that probably aren't even worth being R rated, but I'm going to happily spend that $6 to see about 3 hours of Magic Man matches.
It's on DVD?
No, and it's like a pivot share. Like you just buy like the.
Oh, I see.
You buy to like download it basically.
Do you know any magic tricks, Mike?
No, I don't like magic. I like the Magic Man, the wrestler.
I got a good coin one that impresses a lot of kids. So if you have any children, let me know. I can show them a pretty good one. I don't know the nose one yet. That's a good one too. You make the nose disappear.
Yeah.
My last one is Hayabusa in All Japan, of course. Of course, this leads me to like one of my favorite, what could have been like wrestling hypotheticals. Because I'm pretty sure at one time Liger was trying to get Hayabusa to leave FMW to go to New Japan. But he was also tight with Misawa, as I had read. But he was always a loyalist at FMW, so that never happened. But he did most of his damage in the tag league with Jinsei Shinzaki. And they put up a banger. And we talked about this on a previous mixtape against Kawada and Taue. And their match against Misawa and Akiyama was also really good. And then he got that look at the Tokyo Dome, which was pretty sweet as well. And that was about it. I think that lasted like a couple months, which is kind of a bummer. But, you know, it's always cool to see someone that was birthed in the independents get a look by, you know, at that time, one of the most prestigious promotions in the world and just kill it, because it was like he was bringing this high-flying style to like a very dad-oriented wrestling company. And the crowd would just go crazy when he would like hit these high-flying maneuvers. And so always a weird but fun like look back at seeing Hayabusa wrestle all these old men. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's a good thing about that time period in wrestling as it is, because you never know who could show up to like a Michinoku Pro. It could be a Magic Man, it could be a Hayabusa. You don't know. You don't know what's going to be on that tape until you get it. Magic Man and Hayabusa had probably done a Michinoku Pro show together at some point. And yeah, it's just one of those things that doesn't really, you don't see that too much. I mean, now you do, but back then you didn't see like, you know, some fucking guy showing up to WWF that was in like, I don't even know, you know, some like little like, I guess USWA guys would show up to WWF, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't know. It seemed a little different back then for Japanese wrestling. My last one is another kind of weird one. It's kind of another comedy wrestler. I really like comedy, I guess. I really like comedy wrestlers, but from ROH from the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s, the littlest lumberjack, Grizzly Redwood. I was a real big fan of his. He was a guy who was real small and skinny, and he dressed like a lumberjack, and it really fit him. And that was golden era ROH for me. I know a lot of people have a different viewpoints of what the best version of ROH was. A lot of people, I think, like the real grappling man respect stuff, and I could give a fuck less. I liked it in that point, like 2008, 2009, when they had like good wrestlers and they had people like Grizzly Redwood and Bobby Dempsey and Necro Butcher. And it was kind of this weird, I don't know. It wasn't like ECW level or anything like that, but it was a little more fun than previous ROH before that. And it was pretty cool. And after ROH, Bobby Dempsey and Grizzly Redwood both kind of just, I don't know. I think Grizzly Redwood straight up retired, and he might be back now and does like very small independent shows. Bobby Dempsey, I think, might have carried on and just did stuff that no one ever saw, but I was a big fan of Grizzly Redwood. I'm
looking at this guy's outfit right now. It's pretty sweet. Wears a beanie.
Yeah, he was
cut off flannel.
And he had that Spike Dudley kind of vibe where he was probably a better wrestler than Spike Dudley, but at the time, you know, you're like, oh, Spike Dudley's actually secretly a good wrestler, and he was a fine wrestler. But He had that kind of vibe where you're just like, oh, he's a small guy, but he's actually pretty good.
Up next, the world famous mixtape, a double showing of Sabu, Lance Jade, Bad Boy Hito, and Mitsuharu Misawa. What a lineup. Please stay tuned.
Well, RJ.
Hey, free pill, I be pop star, I be telling nigga. Them my boys, I miss y'all nigga. Bitch, I don't argue cause I'm poppin', bitch, I'd rather go shopping. 12 took my bros away, but what the fuck is they stopping? Pops been gone since I was 6, a hating nigga had shot him with no problem, like he didn't have little babies behind him. It's not okay, yeah, I'ma spot him and slide down on his mama. Hit her ass with the Glock or rock his ass with the chopper. Hope his kids up in the crib so I can leave him with trauma, then put him in the box. Which was left of their mama. I'm a bomb ass bitch, can call me Lil Osama. Move my OG out the hood and take her to the Bahamas. Bitch, my daddy was the realest. I can put that on somebody. If I told you what was up, I might have to catch a body. Slide down your block, you know I got the chop. Sitting in the trenches, man, you know the block hot. RJ on the beat, you know I'm finna eat. New levels come with new devils, new Gucci's and new Martels.
Okay, we are back here on Virtual Pros number 114. This is our world famous mixtape segment. I was just thinking, we're only on we do so few episodes now. We're on number 114. I just saw Check the Tape podcast is hitting number 100. I feel like they started like 6 years after us. I don't know. It seems everybody's passing us somehow, even though we've been around forever. But anyways.
Hey, man. Fucking quality over quantity, my friend.
That's how I feel, too. Quality over quantity. All you guys are wasting your time doing your weekly podcast because they're half as potent as our bi-monthly podcast. This is our mixtape.
Damn. Where's the fucking soundboard at, dude? New Jack time.
I lost it again. I fucking had to change some hard drives over, and I lost it again. I plugged it in. It said file not found. When I started the show, I was real bummed.
Dude, you being an Alienware boy these days has just really changed you, man. I mean, there's been some real crazy positives, like your video editing is on point.
Yeah, but there's other
more New Jack, dude.
There's other stuff, and it's like I was telling my friend who's like really into computers and shit. I was like, oh, hey, man, I finally got like a gamer rig. And he was like, man, you gotta get Oculus. It's worth the money. And I'm just like, dude, I'm over here.
Hell no, dude, no way.
I'm over here playing like PlayStation games on this thing. I think I'm at least 10 to 15 years away from the Oculus.
That's so funny because my friend tried to talk me into virtual reality gaming too the other day. And he was talking about playing Half-Life with both of his hands. And I'm like, bro, like, I just want to lay on my back and play baseball games. You know, I'm not really trying to fucking move boxes virtually. Like, that's shitty, like, in real life. I'm not trying to do this, like, you know, as a recreation. Anyway.
Yeah. But this is our mixtape segment where each week we both pick a couple matches from YouTube and we put them on our YouTube mixtape playlist, which you can find at Virtual Pros Mixtape, or just subscribe to us on YouTube at VRTL Pros. So my first, and I usually post them on Twitter like a day or two beforehand. So if you want to follow along at home, if you want to know what we're talking about beforehand, my first one of the night is from Noah from 2005. It's Tenru versus Mitsuharu Misawa, and I kind of just chose this match. I don't know, I was just looking around for matches, and I've never seen this, and they're both at this point kind of getting up in age. So I was like, oh, this is kind of a curiosity to me to see how this match played out. And, outside of that, I don't really have much notes about it. It was kind of what I imagined it would be like, basically, to a T. But, I gotta say, this is 2005. I don't know how old Misawa is. I think he was like 49 or something when he died, around there. Am I making that up? Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, probably late 40s.
Yeah. So here he's, early to mid 40s, I think. And I think, I don't even think this is a hot take. I think if, the internet was like the way it was back then, I don't think Misawa would have ever became popular. He's just kind of a guy he doesn't look like a popular guy. He really just looks like he looks so much like a dad. Not even a cool dad. Like Tenru looks like a dad, but he also looks like he could whip your ass. Misawa just looks like a guy, man. He looks like a kind of a husky guy. So he is very lucky for becoming the greatest wrestler of all time during a time when people had to trade tapes and wait weeks to see like one thing. Because I don't think he would have been able to build that mystique. I mean, even now, I think people prefer Kobashi over Misawa, and even probably Kawada. And it's just because
I prefer Kobashi over Misawa, but I'll still give Misawa his flowers.
Yeah. I think it's just how he looks. So I kind of figured this match would be kind of just old hard men going through the motions. And it kind of was like that for the first almost half of it. They're kind of just doing moves. It's not really that great. And then at this point, it's about halfway through. Misawa's like on his knees, and Tenryu gives him like a shoot Kawada kick to the face, like a real one. And I think it's a real fight for about 12 seconds, where I think like everything that's happened is very real, because Tenryu kicks him in the face for real. You hear it. There's no thigh slapping. You just hear a kick to the face, and you hear the crowd go, "Ooh!" And then Misawa awakens, and he is now no longer 45-year-old Misawa. He's like 21-year-old Tiger Mask Part 2 Misawa, and he just gets up and starts wailing elbows into Tenryu's face. And I'm pretty sure that shit is real. I don't know. It is either real or he is the most masterful method actor in the history of wrestling, because it just came off as very real. Then after that, it's a little spirited for a while. They're doing moves, and they just kind of get in that groove of just slapping the shit out of each other or elbowing the shit out of each other. Just like in an old man pace, at a very, very leisurely, casual pace, to really sip lemonade to the violence going on at this match. It's also, if you have a big fetish for dudes making faces, like right after they get slapped or elbowed, where they're just like, ooh, and doing those faces, oh man, this is the match for you. There's at least 10 minutes of those faces. Like, if this is what gets you hard, man, this is 5 stars on that kink level, because it's a lot of it's a lot of those faces. So yeah, I mean, this is probably not the highest Misawa match or Tenryu match I would ever recommend. It's a fun watch, but for 18 minutes, I don't know. There's probably better matches for 18 minutes, unless you really like those things I just said.
Someone should run the stats, Vertbags out there, but I think Tenryu is the most watched person on the Virtual Pros mixtape. It's either him or Sabu, and this is a testament to our taste in the King of Sports for sure. Yeah, like you had said, it was all kind of fun and comedy. You know, Tenryu's doing some handshaking gigs, or gags rather, until Tenryu decides just to, go fucking 0 to 100, and he just decides to go Sebastian Janikowski on Misawa's head, and then all bets are off here. And like, I don't think I've ever seen a more intentional and hateful suicide dive until now, because Misawa does it, and that's something. I know people in the biz, some brothers, some sisters. They listen to Virtual Pros, and I will protect your identity if you write to me at virtualpros64@gmail.com. But you got to let me know, how can you take a chop to your fucking throat and just not collapse? Like, is it some sort of parlor trick? Like, you know how Bret Hart, he does that thing where he can run into the turnbuckle full speed with his chest, and it just doesn't hurt him? Like, I have to know very badly. Like, let me know, or I will go to your meet and greets. I might go to your eat and greets at Subway and just harass you until I get an answer. But I got to know about how you can take a throat blow and not be fazed by it. But yeah, like Mike had said, this was just 2 surly old guys beating the fuck out of each other, and I liked it. My first match of the night is Lance Jade versus PG-187. This was in the USWA. And I tried pretty hard to find the dates for these matches, but this is a first, because the Almighty Cage match, they did not have this match in their database, which is wild. And so I'm going to chalk that up as some sort of nerd win for me, because, it doesn't exist on the internet, I guess, except for this video. I was looking for some older American things after seeing Mike's picks for this episode. And when I saw the name PG-187, the excitement inside my body, like, it became pretty high, because I had no idea that there was even a PG-187. And I guess the backstory for PG-187 is that JC Ice, he's the current USWA tag champion with a Wolfie D, but he's injured. His hip is hurt. And so to get around this injury, they added a member to PG-13, and that guy is PG-187. And I find out that PG-187 is the fucking Portuguese man of war, Aldo Montoya, aka Just Incredible, aka I'm fucking so mad that this reveal is what it is that I don't even want to watch this match anymore. I was so fucking pissed off, dude. Maybe even madder when he beat Great Sasuke twice. But PG-187 is such a cool name, and it's such a, you know, you're joining such an iconic tag team, and it's fucking PJ Polanco? Anyway, so the star of this clip is obviously JC Ice for so many reasons. One being, he calls the crowd a bunch of rednecks, and the camera immediately cuts to a group of kids, which had me fucking dying. Like, I might turn that into a virtual pros post on Instagram. And then there was another part where JC Ice, to give some more backstory to PG-187, he claims that they found him while he was committing a homicide. That sounds like a lie, but, you know, it's a funny lie. Overall, I think it's just worth knowing that PG-13 at one point was 3 people. You don't need to watch this match, though, to know that. But JC Ice is very funny. What'd you think?
So doing Pain Pigs, I am now probably on the level for searching for things where I'm probably like the normal wrestling fan now that knows everything. And I hate it. But with that said, I did find the date of this match because I just have those, I just have those skills now. I can't remember what it is offhand, but it's like March 1997 or something like that. But, yeah, there's this website that has a very misleading name that has, very well detailed Smoky Mountain Wrestling and USWA, match lists. But, I never knew. I've never really, digged into, USWA beyond like 1994 because I think it's, for whatever reason, I think it's like kind of harder to find the 1997 stuff. I mean, just judging by this horrible quality videotape, I guess people just gave up and stopped taping it. I don't know, but I think it's a little harder to find. And I never knew PG-187. So when I saw this, I was like, what is this? And I put it on and I saw this guy where I was like, man, that guy kind of looks like Just Incredible. That's weird. And I was like, wait, that is Just Incredible. And for him to be known as PG-187 and me not knowing about it and just this crazy thing, I think it was really only a few weeks, but still, just think about the world where Just Incredible stayed PG-187 and this is how he was known. That's a crazy world. I mean, he pretty much looks the same. He's kind of dressed a little more like New Jack, I guess. He has like the bandana around his head and he's wearing like an ECW shirt for some reason, even though it was before ECW, but it's a thing to think about, just like Elvis Presley being the leading Japanese women's wrestling expert. Think about PJ Walker staying as PG-187. Also, Al forgets there's another member of PG-13 named Midget D, who was their tiny man mascot.
Is that true? Okay, yeah. It was a fucking 4-man band. Okay, my bad.
I mean, I don't think it was at the same time. I think this was years and years apart. Because again, this is on Pain Pigs. There's an episode with Midget D, and I think that's like 1992. So this was many years apart. But what else? Oh yeah, as Al alluded to, he actually says they found him in the ghetto doing a 187. That's how Wolfie D announces, or JC Ice announces him, as they found him in the ghetto doing the 187. And that's another thing about this is they are enamored with the 187 and saying 187. And again, this is 1997. It was a little cooler to say back then, but the 187 was popularized in the Snoop Dogg Dr. Dre Deep Cover song, which came out in like 1991. So this is like 6 years later, and they're still just like, oh my god! Like the announcer's like, is that a cop term for a murder? Like they're just really hammering home this 187. Again, it's USWA. It's kind of campy, so I get it. Also, it's a good thing that Just Incredible, aka PG-187, changed his finisher, because his finisher in this, which I think is also titled the 187, is I don't even know what the fuck this is. I don't know if this is an established move or not, but it's like he gets the guy in a DDT hold and kind of just falls. There's no real impact. I don't know if he did it wrong or something, but it wasn't a very good finishing move. So I'm glad he switched it up. But I find this USWA stuff, because I never saw it when I was younger, because I wasn't going to waste a tape trade on this shit. But finding it now, I think it's always very fun to stumble on. So if you never saw this, it's only fucking 5 minutes. Just watch it. My last match of the night is Bad Boy Hito versus Sabu from Cleveland All Pro Wrestling in 2001. John Thorne over at AIW has been putting up some strange matches from Cleveland All Pro Wrestling here and there. He put up Cactus Jack. I can't remember who was Cactus Jack versus now, but it was a it was fucking Bruiser Bedlam, who was like a modern Big Bully Busick in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It was like Cactus Jack versus him in Cleveland All Pro Wrestling, because he has these tapes. And I saw this and I was like, this got to go on the mixtape, because this is a strange one. Who knew Bad Boy Hito did? I don't know if it was a tour of Cleveland or a tour of the country, but he ended up in Cleveland All Pro Wrestling in 2001. And this is, I think it's before FMW folded, but this is in the pure entertainment portion of this date. Could also be wrong too, but I don't think it is. But it's just strange, out of all the people I can imagine coming to my town. Not that I lived in Cleveland, but just saying, if they're like, oh, some FMW guys coming, I think Bad Boy Hito would have probably been one of the only ones I would have been disappointed by. So that's kind of a bittersweet deal. But luckily, I don't think this is not an FMW crowd. No one here knows who Bad Boy Hito is. He gets no reaction. No one knows this fucking guy. Outside of that, this is a cool venue. I think it's like one of those kind of places where you get married, and with the not so great VHS quality, it just looks all washed out and it looks like somebody's nightmare. So that's cool. It's a cool kind of scenic match. There's of course racism in the crowd, because there's an Asian man wrestling, and somebody yells out "Mugu Gai Pan," which is a not Japanese, but that is the only Asian word that guy knew. So good for you, Cleveland. You're really great guys there. This crowd is kind of dead. Like I said, they have no idea who Hito is. They like Sabu. They cheered him when he started. They're doing some real remedial wrestling in the beginning of this match for God knows what reason. I don't know if they had to fill a quota or something, but they're doing like arm locks and shit like that. And, there's guys in the crowd that want to cheer for Sabu, and he's doing like a wrist lock, and they're like, yeah, but it's, very sparse. But then the second Sabu puts his fucking hands on a table, it's like the whole crowd erupts. This crowd is obsessed with tables. I mean, this is 2001. This is the height of people being obsessed with tables, and I just forget about it. But man, this is all the crowd cares about, is Sabu doing something on a table. And he sets it up. He sets it up dangerously close to these two small kids. And luckily they move, and he ends up moving the table anyways. But he sets it up, and he doesn't use it, and like the crowd dies out again, and they do some more stupid holds, and then like they get close to it again, and the crowd erupts again, and then they get away from it again, and now the crowd's getting upset. Like now they're just like table, like they're just getting fucking like real riled up. And they finally go through the table eventually after like 10 minutes, and it's whatever. It's like the most basic table spot now when you see like 30 of them getting broken in one match. This wasn't really that crazy. And then it ends, with the traditional Sabu match ending of him putting on a camel clutch on somebody and them tapping out, which is what everybody remembers Sabu for, is winning matches with a camel clutch. And this is an extremely strange curiosity piece. I don't think it's good in any stretch of the word. I do think you should watch it, though, because it's a very, very strange match. What do you think, Al?
Before I start, so you're notoriously bad at geography, Mike. So I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Bombay, Michigan, real or fake place?
That's fake.
Nice, dude. Good work. There is a town called Bombay in the northwest area of New York. For all my geography heads out there, want to inform. Not much else to add match-wise. Mike covered it for the most part, but there is a guy in the crowd with a 7-Up Yours shirt, which is a very 2000s advertising campaign. Did your town get the radio drops for the Corn Nuts Bust a Nut commercial back in the day?
Man, I have no recollection of that. I don't know if I ever.
You've never heard the Bust a Nut jingle? Oh, I'll find it for you. Maybe you can add these on Pain Pigs, but yeah, very 2000s as well. Look it up if you are alone or have some adult supervision for the Corn Nuts Bust a Nut radio jingles, because they're really funny. But yeah, there's a guy in the crowd as well with an oversized flannel and backwards hat. And he is pumped about these tables. And I was wondering if you knew if this was John Thorne or not.
I don't think so.
Because he wears backwards hats still. So I was like, is that John?
I don't, maybe it was. Maybe I'll ask him. I didn't think so, but maybe it is.
Dude, him and his bro, like, are so pumped for this table break that one shoves the other one and they fucking do the Devon get the tables thing. And I'm like, wow, like I've never been as excited for wrestling as that. And I've seen some things, but these guys were fired up about some fucking tables. But, yeah, like I don't have anything else to add about this match. Like it wasn't even that weird or good or bad or anything. But I just want to know what the thought process was for CAPW to bring in Bad Boy Hito, of all people, overseas in 2001 to fight Sabu. Like, I can't imagine having money burning a hole in my pocket that badly for me to be like, 2001 FMW. We could get Oya, we can get Kuroda. Hayabusa's still there. I mean, he's doing the Stussy thing. Maybe we can get him. Now let's get Bad Boy Hito. That'll do it. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, he had to be.
Gato and Jado were like.
He had to be on vacation or something. He had to be in America on vacation.
In Cleveland? No offense. I joked to Noah. Shout out to you.
Just Hito. That's where he is. He was like that Japanese kid who came to America to meet Bone Thugs and Harmony and went to East 1999 and just waited for him. That was Cleveland too. What? You didn't hear? Oh God, man, I'm not going to tell this whole story. Just Google Japanese fan Bone Thugs and Harmony Cleveland if anybody wants to know the story. It's a really amazing story if you haven't heard it.
All right, I'll fucking peep that shit. Last match of the night. Sabu again versus Chris Candido versus Devon Crowbar Storm. A 3-way casket match. NWA Jersey 8/17/2000. So maybe my recollection is like deceiving me here, but like, did Devon Storm have like a late puberty spurt? Because like, he's huge in this match. Like, I always kind of remembered him as like kind of a twerpy guy in like a singlet who he would wrestle like a love letter to Sabu, but like, he looks like Zandig in this match. And I'm like, what the fuck happened to Crowbar? He looks pretty cool. Looks big. So the reason why I picked this match primarily is because I just wanted to see how stupid, a 3-way casket match would play out. You know, I kind of figured that you'd have to put 2 people in one casket to win because that makes the most sense. But like, then again, I can't say I've ever heard of a 3-way dance casket match. So I felt like I'd be watching history, and sure enough, I was right. Like all Sabu matches, the first half of this match is okay. But the latter half gets pretty fucking crazy. Chris Candido, rest in peace. He gets thrown over the top rope by Crowbar, I believe. But he has a little bit too much momentum going. And like, he gives himself like an Alabama slam, to the outside, which looked horrifying. Like, so much so that Sabu, he like stops in his tracks and like, he rubs the back of Candido's head to make sure that he's just not bleeding or like brains have fallen out of his head because he hits this fucking ground so hard. And Candido gives Sabu the okay, which, you know, he could have been lying. But right afterwards, Crowbar, he like sits him down on a chair and he does a crossbody and then he lands on Candido's head again. And it's like a 20-second sequence, which is like so terrifying to watch. The casket that NWA Jersey had bought here, it's a pretty chintzy looking one, build wise, but like, it only adds to, this shit show as Sabu, he's like pretty much like busting this casket up, like doing wild ass shit. And I don't want to spoil the ending because I'm encouraging all the vert bags out there to watch this. Like, this video only has like a little over 100 views. And given how insane this match was and how good it was, that's pretty crazy. So to me, a very high recommendation. What'd you think?
I think this match might be clipped on that Card is Subject to Change documentary or something like that, because I've seen parts of this match before, but I've never seen the whole thing. And I've seen that documentary, so I assume it's from there. So maybe if you've seen that documentary out there, you might have seen clips from this match. And here's the whole thing. Yeah, I was thinking, why a casket match? This seems pretty strange. None of these guys are spooky. Usually do a casket match if there's some spooky thing happening. No one's really spooky. And then I was like, oh, maybe they know somebody works at a funeral home and they have this casket. And then, nope, the casket comes out and it's one of those like ones you build for Halloween in your backyard. It's not a real casket that you bury human beings in. And, so somebody had this vision, or maybe they had it left over from a play or something. I don't know. But I think somebody had a vision, was like, I want to see a casket match, and I want to see a 3-way casket match. The weirdest stipulation ever. This place is called like the Oceanside Bar and Grill or something like that. Not the best video quality, but if you look in the background to the left, you'll see a sign. I don't know exactly what it says, but it says something about breakfast. And this is not a place I would ever want to eat breakfast at in my life. So I don't know, Oceanside Bar and Grill. I don't know who you're fooling. I really hope that breakfast special didn't last too long, because this is not a place I want to eat breakfast. Al didn't mention this part, and since he didn't mention it and it was very prevalent for me, I'm thinking I might be going insane, and I might have just had some kind of fucking acid flashback, and I imagine this, but you can clearly hear all of the wrestlers talking, and throughout this whole video, there's something going on with the sound. I don't know if that's part of the documentary or what, but they like, I don't even know how it's possible here. This is like, fucking early 2000s technology, some shitty fan camera 100,000 feet away. Well, not that far, fairly far away. And somehow you can hear the wrestlers as if they're mic'd. I don't know if they did some audio trickery with this tape, but it's pretty crazy. So you can hear him calling spots and stuff. And at one point, after Chris Candido kind of fake kicks him in the stomach, you can hear Sabu say, "Ooh, you cocksucker." And, that is my favorite part of this match. It's great to hear him say that. This is also another table hungry crowd. This is the weirdest stipulation ever, and people kind of care, but once that table comes out, they start caring again. And I think they even chant tables again. This is both these matches the same year, I believe. So you just know people fucking love tables in 2001. There's a part where, the casket's like laying up against the turnbuckle, and Sabu like bumps into it, and it looks so cool. Like he kind of like moshes into it and just leaves a dent into the plywood casket, and it looks pretty sweet. But yeah, outside of that, the fucking, the stipulations for this are so weird. You can tell like halfway through, they're just like, whatever. I think you could hear Sabu even say "no one cares" or something like that. You can hear him say something like that, like "nobody cares" or something. But it's a strange match, and I think it was my last note, but Al already covered it. I think Al even might have missed one of the times that Crowbar dropped Candido on his head, because I think it was one more time than Al pointed out. So I don't know if they had some beef or what, or Crowbar was just, after he took that super serum to get all jacked, he just became very dangerous. But there's a lot of head dropping on this. But yeah, this is quite a time capsule for 2001 post ECW wrestling, because this sums it up in one nice thing. So if you are a younger person and you just want to know what 2001 wrestling is like that wasn't WWF, here you go.
Also, I forgot to bring up that Crowbar is fucking on one, because he does like 9 Northern Light suplexes for the pin. And the referee's just like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? Put this guy in the casket."
Maybe that's when he says "no one cares." It might have been around there when he says "no one cares."
Anyway, that was another heat rock in the archives for you boys. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at the RTL Pros. Discord as well. If you want to email us a suggestion for the mixtape, hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Mike, any last words?
Hey, thanks for listening. Go watch Pain Pigs on Monday on Twitch.
Pain Pigs, Monday, 6 p.m. West Coast. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
9 p.m. Eastern?
Yep.
Did I fuck that up?
No, that's right.
Tune in, guys. See you guys in 2 weeks.